Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm making this video about a couple of different topics that I'm trying to roll into one. They are all on the same theme, so I think it's quite important to make this video. About 2 months ago, I run a business, and part of that business, I fix and repair phones and laptops and tablets. So I'm quite often on Marketplace, finding really good deals on tech, repairing it, and then selling it on. It's quite profitable to do that because people sell it off quite cheap because it's broke, and then I can repair it and sell it. I came across a listing for a PlayStation 4 Pro and two PlayStation 3s, all for £50. And the advert, which I'm going to show you now, basically just said that they think it's a hard drive problem. That there wasn't any damage, it was turning on, it was just what they said is a hard drive problem. So it wasn't too far away either, it was maybe, half a mile, if that. So I thought I'm going to go check it out. And I turned up, and the chap said, "Yep, there it is. Have a look. It's sold as seen." I had a look at the condition, and it looks pretty good. So I basically gave him the 50 quid, and he said, "There you are. There's the PlayStation 4 Pro." Two PlayStation 3s, and then he also gave me an Xbox 360, which you just wanted rid of. This video is sponsored by Reese Codes. They're currently having a Black Friday sale. You can get Office 2021 Pro Plus for $9.99. You can get Windows 10 Lifetime for $7.99. Office Pro Plus for $13.99. It's your number one place to buy Windows and Microsoft software, so please check out the sponsor of this video. So this is the original advert, and it says PS4 Pro 1 TB faulty, think it needs a new hard drive. And again, in the extras it said PS3 times 2 won't connect to controller. So one of the great things about the PlayStation in general is the actual firmware is separate from the hard drive, which makes a massive difference when you're repairing devices, because it means if the hard drive fails, which a lot do, you can just replace the hard drive, reinstall the OS, and it will boot fine. The Xbox, if your SSD fails, it has a partition on that, the XBFS partition, that you cannot clone to a new drive. There is some workarounds, but I've never had any luck cloning the original XBFS partition, even with something like the Yotto Master SSD cloner, which I bought specifically for that job. But the PS4, if it fails, you can just put the software back on it, and it will boot. Turns out it was just the hard drive, so that was great. The two other PlayStations also just had dodgy hard drives, so I replaced all of them. I kept the PlayStation 4 Pro, and I also kept a PlayStation 3. But this started to get me thinking about games. So I have bought. So after I bought the PlayStation 4, I obviously needed some games, and I went on eBay and just started to search for some of my most favorite games, like The Last of Us Part 1, Last of Us Part 2, Red Dead Redemption. I'll show you the list now. It's a huge library. Most of the games that I own on Steam are also on PlayStation 4 because they're from that time period. There's only two that are actually on PlayStation 5 exclusively. What I've really learned through this process is reconnecting with physical media. We live in such a digital age that you buy a license on Steam, and you can then play that game as long as you have that license. But something that I've seen with the PlayStation series especially is you can get a CD, keep a copy of it, you can resell that game, which is these are all secondhand games, and that physical copy stays within the ecosystem of games. You can then share it to someone, you can let someone play it and they can give it back to you. There's a lot that you can do with physical media that you just can't do with the digital media. So I went on a bit of a mission to try and buy all my games on PlayStation 4 that I own on Steam, and I've pretty much covered the entire library. There's only two that are PlayStation 5 exclusives, and I'm quite impressed with the performance that we get from the PlayStation 4 as well. So something that I also do is if it's a game I really like, for example, the Uncharted series, I've actually bought that game 3 times. I've bought it on Steam, I've bought it on PlayStation, so that's the Steam digital copy, the physical copy, and then the physical files on GOG, because we don't think about game preservation, but actually it's a really big thing. There's been examples which I'll come to in a minute of companies where they've wanted to resell a game, but the DRM that's attached with that game is broken somehow. And the only way that they've been able to resell the same game is to sell the pirated copies of that game. Now, I'm not suggesting anyone do piracy, but the preservation of games sometimes has to break them boundaries. For example, if the entire collection that I've got on PlayStation 4, if in 10 years if there's more advancements in phones and they can now run PlayStation 4 really, really well, I would like to get my own copy of that game, burn it to a ROM or make a ROM out of it, and then I can use it on other devices. But if I don't have the physical copy, it makes it much more difficult to do. So I've really found that actually physical media is coming back. Lots of people are now buying CDs again. They are buying uh, lots of different things that are physical copies instead of digital, and I'm all for it. I think it's great, to be honest. So yeah, I wanted to share a little bit of this with you and get your inputs on physical media, and also if you, like me, will buy things on GOG and Steam at the same time. So you've always got that copy of the files, but then also you've got, for example, I've got a Steam Deck, so it makes it much easier to install on the Steam Deck than it does if I'm using Heroic Launcher. It's great that you can do that, but if I've got it on Steam as well, it just installs and I don't need to worry about setting up the prefixes and things like that. So it does make more sense to do that. But I'm excited to understand what you do as well, and whether you actually use physical media or whether you buy games 2 or 3 times like I do, or is it just me? But yeah, I'll be back with another one soon. See you later.